I have a false memory of a haunting of Hill House scene in my head, and many others have experienced something similar with the Mike Flanagan show. Most viewers were first exposed to Mike Flanagan's ability to create compelling horror TV shows through Netflix's The Haunting of Hill House. However, I missed the early hype train surrounding the series and did not watch it until 2021. Only when I saw Flanagan's Midnight Mass did I realize I had to watch everything else he had created. Over the years, I have loved every Netflix show and movie Mike Flanagan has helmed, including The Midnight Club. While Midnight Mass is easily my favorite Mike Flanagan show, it does not beat The Haunting of Hill House's rewatch value because I notice something new every time I revisit the Shirley Jackson adaptation. A few months ago, during my annual Hill House revisit, I realized I had been imagining the existence of one major scene. I initially brushed off this Mandela Effect event, but I recently realized I was not alone. I remember seeing a Haunting of Hill House scene that does not exist. I was surprised when I discovered I imagined one scene from the show. In one of the Haunting of Hill House's opening arcs, Mikhail Husman's Stephen visits Saida Arica Eculona's Mrs. Walker to look for a new story for his upcoming novel. Walker delivers a chilling but emotional monologue about how, after her husband's death, she once saw his ghost on her bedroom ceiling. She recalls that her husband, Carl, drove into a ravine after losing control of his car during a storm. Reflecting the circumstances under which he died, his ghost was hanging upside down the ceiling, with water and blood dripping down his hair. Walker also mentions that the ghost's mouth had dropped open. However, instead of screaming, he let out the sound of a car horn because Carl was unable to blow his car's horn during his accident. Although skeptical, Stephen chooses to stay in Carl's room for the night. The last time I watched The Haunting of Hill House, I was almost sure Stephen saw the ghost when he stayed at Mrs. Walker's home. I kept waiting for the scene where the ghost appeared on the bedroom ceiling because I remembered seeing it before. However, to my surprise, the ghost never shows up, proving I had a false memory of the scene. All this while, my mind was merely filling in gaps with imagined details. The Hill House scene has instilled a similar Mandela effect in many viewers. Many viewers have wondered if Mike Flanagan ever filmed the scene. Saida Arica Eculona as Mrs. Walker in The Haunting of Hill House. I recently discovered that, like me, many viewers firmly believed that the ceiling ghost had appeared in the show. A viewer opened up, via Reddit, about how they were shocked when that scene never showed up in The Haunting Hill House, and many others agreed they, too, recalled seeing it. This led many to wonder whether Mike Flanagan had ever filmed the scene and featured it in a promo for the series before removing it from the final cut. Out of sheer curiosity, another viewer, via Flanagan Film, reached out to Mike Flanagan and even asked him about it. Mike Flanagan confirmed that he never filmed the scene and that it was only meant to be a monologue. "No, none of that was ever filmed, it's just a monologue. Sounds like Mandela Effect for sure," he said. The show's creator's confirmation makes the Hill House scene even more fascinating because it highlights how powerful storytelling can sometimes create vivid memories of things that may not even be real. Just like the projections of Mrs. Walker's grief made her create her husband's ghost, the emotional depth of her story made viewers see the ghost through her eyes. How Mike Flanagan's brilliant writing has made viewers conjure a scene that does not exist. Some brilliant storytelling tricks have made viewers visualize the non-existent scene. One of the biggest reasons many viewers have conjured the non-existent scene is that Saida Arica Eculona does an incredible job of delivering Mrs. Walker's monologue. While Mike Flanagan's brilliant writing makes the ghost's description both explicit and chilling, Saida Arica Eculona brings an emotional heft to it with her acting forte that forces viewers to imagine the actual ghost. Much later in the opening episode, Stephen notices water dripping down the bedroom ceiling and hears loud car horns from outside, which serve as solid reminders of the ghost's description. These reminders again prompt viewers to recall Mrs. Walker's monologue and everything she said about her husband's ghost. Before The Haunting of Hill House reveals the bent-neck lady twist in Episode 5, it also features a scene in which Nell sees Luke's ghost stuck to her hotel room ceiling. In many ways, Luke seems similar to how Mrs. Walker had described her husband's ghost. Owing to the visual parallels between the two sequences from Mike Flanagan's The Haunting of Hill House, viewers might have jumbled the memories of the Luke scene and the description of Carl Walker's ghost.